Let's go. Streaming data free on the MTN network in South Africa.
This is Omnisport.
T's and C's apply.
In a massive moment for boxing and music fans alike, Turki bin Abdul Mohsen Al Sheikh, the man they call His Excellency, has delivered on his promise to have Liam Gallagher performing for Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois IBF heavyweight title fight this weekend. The fight is scheduled to be the most highly attended fight in British history, with over 90,000 fans. It's now confirmed, as you heard from Kev, 96,000 fans will attend at Wembley. They've extended the stadium. That's how much this is in demand.
Yeah, I mean, that must be incredible. I hate to know how much they're actually making from this. Let's say 100, 200 pounds a ticket. It's daft money. But then it's going to be it'll probably be the best thing to watch on Saturday night. You know, it'll be incredible. I see Dubois promise he's going to be the Kingslayer. And will Anthony Johnson be singing Don't Look Back in Anger after Liam Gallagher?
Well, good to have Oasis back, and good to finally have boxing in the big time. And boxing's better when the heavyweights are good. I know we've had sort of Floyd Mayweather and Canelo, but remember, like in the 90s, it's always been this way, actually. I mustn't pretend it's just now. And this isn't exactly like, we're not talking like Larry Holmes. This isn't iconic heavyweights. As much as I like Tyson Fury, I like Anthony Joshua, they aren't Muhammad Ali, you know?
No, I'm not a big fan of Tyson Fury. I mean, I do like Anthony Johnson, and I do like the fact that he cares. His fight against Klitschko was probably one that could have been one for the ages, but wasn't quite. We haven't had great heavyweight boxing fights, you know. Maybe actually the last Tyson Fury fight was pretty good. But we haven't had since the Hasim Rahman, Lennox Lewis, we haven't had Tyson, Buster Douglas, we haven't had all that sort of fights we used to get up and watch at the wee hours of the morning.
I think the problem is that there's no great American, because let's face it, I mean, whatever you think of Americans is they do marketing better than everyone in the world. So when it is an American, you know, they're going to give a nickname, like they're going to take it over the top. So it's the center, whether we like it or not. America is the economic center of the world. So when they do it, it's big. It feels big. They make everything feel big. So when it was Tyson and the real deal Holyfield, then it felt massive. The 90s just felt massive. The 80s, you know. I mean, who in South Africa of the middle class yuppies didn't have a George Foreman?
No, exactly. Who hasn't bought a George Foreman griller?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a beauty.
But they do nicknames well. The Rumble in the Jungle, you know, the big fight. I was in Vegas just before the Tyson Holyfield fight for the week before, and the build-up was just extraordinary. It was just, everywhere you looked, there was just pictures of Tyson and Holyfield.
And now, so I think it's what Riyadh Season are trying to do. Obviously, the PIF investment fund are just trying to buy absolutely everything and buy into everything. We've seen that. So, listen, I love it when athletes get paid, especially in sort of combat sport. It's a wonderful thing. So for me, I've got my Saturday night sorted. I think I have to pay for DAZN to get that, though. I don't think that's going to be on SuperSport, which is whatever. I'll pay my $100 and shut the hell up. Pay for stuff. If you want stuff, pay for stuff.
Exactly.
So let's move on. A South African star, Quinton de Kock, made 115 of 68 balls in the Caribbean Premier League for Barbados Royals. The Royals beat the Guyana Amazon Warriors by 32 runs. Thanks to that great knock from Quinton de Kock. Great to see him back scoring runs. Kev, I mean, you're a cricket man. Greatest keeper South Africa's ever had? No,
I reckon Barcher's still going to be up there. Still a record breaker. Still incredible with bat and ball. Quinny is brilliant. He's good. He's over the top. He's a stunning player. But he just doesn't seem to have Barcher's sense of longevity, and he's now opting out for the T20 franchises. South Africa are still, Rob Walters, the white ball coach, is still not sure whether he's going to come back, which is a big issue for them.
It is a big issue because cricket really is centered around the big three, right? There with Dave Richardson, thanks for negotiating the worst deal in the history of mankind. I'm not going to get into that. A South African stabbing South Africa in the back. But listen, Dave Richardson and the IC, their hands are forced. Like India control cricket, we know this. And then it's Australia, and then it's England. Those are the wealthiest countries. And India is, 800 million people of the 1.6 billion are active consumers of cricket. Like, of course they're going to control cricket. So the guys are going to play this franchise cricket, right? Which is why international cricket's in trouble.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's something we'll bring up with Ken when we talk about it a bit later. It's the fact that Test cricket now has to be squeezed in to the very few open slots that are available for Test cricket.
The third test in the T20 series, England-Australia, damp squib. It was a draw. Obviously, the rain. Here's what I've always wondered. Why don't all English cricket grounds, I don't mean some, all English cricket grounds should be a dome. Put a roof on all of them because, hello, it's been raining a lot in England for thousands of years. Why don't they do this? And especially now, it's economically a bad decision to not have cricket matches go ahead. Now it's a business. Why don't they just put roofs on everything?
Simply because they can't afford to. It took them years to put up lights, and for a long time they would have temporary floodlights at grounds. South Africa were well ahead of them in terms of building stadiums like the Wanderers and Newlands and even Supersport Park to an extent. And we've developed better cricket grounds than the English have got. I mean, they've got iconic ancient grounds, like Lords and the Oval, but they're just a bit behind when it comes to the technology.
Fair enough. And I guess that you can't exactly just put a roof on Lords, because I would imagine, the bureaucracy in Europe.
Oh, God.
Could you imagine if you said to those Toffingtons, we're going to put a roof on Lords? Oh, my God. Heavens, they'd say they'd clutch all their pearls. Anyway, it's a damn squib. It's a draw. I don't get it. It's a modern world, but this is why cricket is struggling to go, I think, worldwide. Let's go to the rugby. Hey, if you didn't watch the Sharks game, I got to see some of the highlights. After the Natal Sharks drew 40-40, they're through to the Currie Cup final, of course. Finally, Plumtree has something to show the people, because he was under a lot of pressure. Is Plumtree the right guy for the Sharks, and were the Sharks right to stick with him?
You can chop and change, and Neil Powell's obviously he's the director of rugby at the Sharks these days, and he's gone down that route. He took over for a bit, brought Plumtree in, and he believes that he's the right guy. But Plumtree is now very worried about the fact that the Currie Cup semi-final and the struggles they have, how is that going to affect their build-up for the URC, the United Rugby Championship? They're going to go over to Europe and play it. Do they have the depth? And that's a big issue for them. It is
a big issue. I think we do need to address that in terms of player safety. We've heard a lot of the guys, and we'll discuss later this week about the fixture pile-up in European football. But I think it is, especially in rugby, like rugby is a brutal sport. And now you just add the URC, and then the international games, they're not playing less, they're playing more. So what tends to happen now is, fine, the players play more, but the best players actually end up playing the most, because think about it. Who's going to go to the quarterfinal, semi-final of World Cups? It's the best players.
Yeah.
And then they're going to play URC, and then they're going to play this. And now guys want to make money, so they'll probably extend it by playing in Japan. These guys are playing 12 months a year now. It's too much.
Well, that was the issue between Racing 92 and Siya Kolisi. So Stuart Lancaster, the coach, said Siya told him, I'm not going to play any more international rugby. I want to play for the Springboks. That's me done. And then Siya was thinking, no, that's a bit rubbish. I'm the captain of the country, that I love South Africa. That's probably why he didn't like being there. He didn't last the season, and he came back home. And it's also because of longevity. I think he wants to go to 2027.
Well, you mentioned Siya. He's coming back to the Sharks. What effect do you think that's going to have in terms of, listen, Plumtree, he's going to have to deal with Siya, because Siya comes with a lot. Whether you like it or not, listen, whatever you think of Siya Kolisi, he can be polarizing. Some people say there's Siya fatigue. He's everywhere. Some people love him. He's the leader of a country. Whatever you may think of him, he comes with a lot, because he's a whole package. He's a whole marketing juggernaut. And everybody thinks, it'd be great to have him in-house. Until you have him in-house, and now the Sharks may have built something without Siya. He may have been, now you've got to integrate a juggernaut of a personality, because I don't care what you say, Siya Kolisi will have an ego, right? He's two-time winning captain. That can destabilize the dressing room. People mustn't think this is just going to be plug and play. Plumtree is going to learn quite quickly to handle a superstar, take some handling. You saw it with Ronaldo and Eric Ten Hag. So it's interesting. I don't know what you think about Siya coming back to the Sharks, and whether it'll be just plug and play then.
I don't think it's plug and play at all. He'll be lucky to get into the team, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, wow.
There's far too many people ahead of him in the queue. I think Siya will be lucky, and he may just be a marketing guy. He may just be the guy sitting on the bench. He may be just the guy who stings the anthem the loudest. That's the problem.
The Siya and his tears coming back and singing the anthem the loudest. So that's awesome news for the Sharks. I would love to hear from people. 07 88 77 7716. A positive that Siya is coming back. And as you've heard from Kev McCallum, will Siya Kolisi even get into the team? My God, could you imagine he didn't? The furor that would come out of there, Marzotti and the guys. But Kev McCallum thinks Siya will struggle to get back into the team. Plumtree and the boys will be in the Currie Cup final on Saturday. Congratulations if you're a Sharks fan. Congratulations to John Plumtree. All right, our question of the day, which we have for you every single day, of course, is I was the first Liverpool player to win the Ballon d'Or. I scored 40 goals for my country, and I've played in England and Spain. Who am I? So we'll answer that at the end of the show, of course, and we'll give you our special keyword as well. In 60 seconds, 115 is actually 130. Man City or man cheating?
Let's go. Streaming data free on the MTN network in South Africa.
This is Omni Sports.
T's and C's apply.